Good Wednesday evening. I'm bringing a couple announcements to you and you and you and you. We are still going to be meeting, and we're still in the phase 2 of the next reopening guidelines. We're meeting at 11 a.m. on Sunday services. Everything's set up and cleaned and ready for you. We are adhering to all guidelines that are requested. So look forward to seeing you then, and we have overflow rooms, so if you come and there's no room in the sanctuary, we have some overflow rooms we can put you in too. Thursday at 4, look forward to Cruise Zone video. I know they've been fun, they've been intuitive, they've been informative, and they've allowed the kids to learn in a good environment still. So 4 p.m., check it out, crew. KK will be sending out a text to all the youth if she has your number. If not, just let us have it. I think that is it, but we're looking forward to when we can just gather together and get together and have a great time without all of the social distancing and all of that. But for now, this is what we're doing. We love you, and hopefully you will be blessed by the word tonight. But before we get into it, here's a little worship song.
Worship you.
Church, Pastor Breydon coming to you this Wednesday evening, bringing a word, bringing an encouraging word, bringing a challenge, bringing it to you. Hopefully you enjoyed that little clip that was inserted before of my beautiful daughter singing for y'all. Anywho, we'll move right along, and that ties into what I'm going to be talking about tonight. Is moving forward. Moving forward. And every time I think of moving forward, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, I believe it's Happy Feet 2. They come across this little sea lion dude, or not little, big sea lion guy, and he's like, can't do it, can't go backwards, I can only move forward. And that's what I think of the mindset of moving forward as Christians. Here's the clip. You can check it out.
If you don't mind backing up a little bit, we'll just squeeze past.
That's the one thing I can't do, matey.
Huh?
Back up. The Beachmaster backs up for nobody.
So as you can see, he moved forward. Didn't show the whole clip, but in what happens afterwards. But that's the mindset I believe as Christians we must have, especially now. Now it is more important than ever to move forward. In Deuteronomy chapter 2, verses 1 through 3, it says, "Then we turned around and headed back across the wilderness to the Red Sea, just as the Lord had instructed me. And we wandered around in the region of Mount Seir for a long time. Then, at last the Lord said to me, 'You have been wandering around this hill country long enough. Turn to the north.'" Other versions say, "You've been skirting this mountain long enough. Turn to the north." It's time to break free from cycles and habits and patterns in our lives and people in our lives that have been unproductive, that have been unhealthy, that have been pushing you backwards, that haven't been pushing you towards your goal in life, towards your destiny, towards your relationship with Jesus. Because you've been wandering long enough. It's time to get rid of those things that just keep me wandering. They always say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting something different, a different result. I've stated this before as I've talked. We've accepted things that were meant only to be temporary and we've made them permanent. We cannot give things that are temporary permission to become permanent in our lives, because then it gets harder to remove them in there. If they're not of God, then that's not a good thing. Don't allow the situations you're in to take a permanent residence. Break free from the cycles that are holding you back from moving forward. Yeah, you were saved and now you are so excited to move forward, and you took a step. You were baptized. You gave your life to Jesus. You've repented, and then bam, I'm stuck. I'm not moving anywhere else because those cycles I didn't get rid of. In Psalm 31 through 5, and then 11 through 2, it says, "I will exalt you, Lord, for you rescued me. You refuse to let my enemies triumph over me. O Lord, my God, I cried for you to help, and you restored my health. You brought me up from the grave, O Lord. You kept me from falling into the pit of death. Sing to the Lord, all you godly ones. Praise his holy name. For his anger lasts only a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may last through the night, but joy comes in the morning." In verse 11, "You have turned my mourning into joyful dancing. You have taken away my clothes of mourning and clothed me with joy, that I might sing praises to you and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give you thanks forever." Retake control of your soul. Retake control of the inner you. Your outer world will always be a reflection of and come into alignment with your inner self, your inner world. The outer things you are doing, the outer things you are portraying will be a reflection upon what you are inside. If you're not moving forward in yourself, if you haven't overcome that past person, or if you've just been stuck in a rut, well, where is your inner world at? What have you been feeding that inner world so the outer world can get the benefits? I don't want to put into the outer world my negativity. I don't want to put into the outer world my disappointment. I want to put out what Jesus has placed in me: love, peace, patience, kindness. All of these things, but it's got to be inside of me. I've got to take back control of what is inside of me. I've got to do that by my prayer life, by fasting, reading my Bible, by guarding what my eyes are seeing, by guarding what my ears are hearing, by guarding my relationships, and breaking free from those cycles that just keep me spinning. I don't know if you've ever used a drill, right? If you have, and you're screwing something in, and then all of a sudden, man, it just slips and it just spins. It didn't grab a hold. The screw didn't grab into anything, so it's just spinning, and now you can't use it, and it's not going to do its job right. That's sometimes us. We get stuck in that spin, that cycle, and we're not moving forward, we're not doing our job. And it's time as a Christian to take this moment in your life and say, you know what? I'm done being stuck. I'm done being spinning. I'm taking back control over my life, over my inside, my inner, my soul, so that my reflection can be of Jesus and not of Breydon. Jump to Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Wow. Ephesians 4:26 through 27. And don't sin by letting anger control you. Don't let the sun go down while you're still angry, for anger gives a foothold to the devil. You've got to work on the inner you. We no longer need to give our inner selves to the things of this world, especially as Christians. We don't need to take in more of this world to become relevant. We need to take in more of Jesus so that whatever comes out of us is Jesus and not Breydon and not whoever you are. So there's 5 different things, different little points I want to make. And number 1 is that a patient Christian moves forward. Patience. Oh yeah. And if you have kids, if you've ever had kids, patience is, whoa, my goodness. You've got to have it. I mean, if you don't have kids and you're surrounded by people or not surrounded by people, if you're living, you have to have patience sometimes. You have to have patience to go into Walmart. You have to have patience to go to work. And sometimes we don't. But James chapter 1, verse 2 through 4. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. James 1, 2 through 4. According to James right here, we will never be able to move forward as Christians if we never learn patience. And we'll never learn patience aside from going through trials and tribulations and temptations, through the hard times in life, through the angry times in life. We're supposed to consider it a joy to enter into the next level of Christian life through those trials and difficulties. Yes, in this time, in this pandemic, sometimes it's hard to see the joy. But we need to consider this a joy that we are being pushed to that next level in our walk with Jesus. As Christians, we're being pushed to move to a place that we never foreseen ourselves moving. We're not left hopeless, though. James tells us that we can ask the Lord for wisdom to understand these trials that we're facing, to going through. We can ask Jesus to help us through it, to understand, what am I supposed to get out of this? God, why is this pandemic happening? Why are people losing their minds? Why are people getting sick? Whatever your questions are, why is the church having to mold and form into a new way? These are all questions I've asked and going through all of this stuff. And I believe we're being developed into a new level of church. We're being pushed into the forward movement of the church. So I encourage you to become a patient Christian. Yeah, that means being patient with the dumb people that we run into. Wait, no, we never run into dumb people, I'm sorry. To be patient with the ones that are not like us. The ones that aren't as smart as us. To be patient with your kids, to be patient with your family, to be patient with your process of your development. To be patient where you're at in your ministry. Whether you're seeing the influx of growth or whether you're not seeing it at this moment, to be patient where you're at and what God is developing through you. To be patient in this time that we're living in right now. Patience doesn't mean being idle, though, and not doing anything. But let it grow. Second, a practicing Christian will move forward. James 2, verse 17 through 18. Whatever is good and perfect is a gift coming down to us from God, our Father, who created all the lights in the heavens. He never changes or casts a shifting shadow. He chose to give birth to us by giving us his true word. And we, out of all creation, became his prized possession. We learn that in this chapter that true faith is a working faith. So those that say you don't have to do anything, but you're good just believing, you're incorrect. Faith isn't just something that is there in a belief. Faith is something that you work and you apply. I've met different doctors that are attorneys before that are very gifted. They're very talented, but they're not practicing. They're not in the practice. I've met people that were teachers before, but they're not practicing it. They're doing other things. I know some doctors that have the ability to help heal the sick, but they're not practicing. I know some teachers that can mold minds of young people, but they're not practicing it. I know pastors that can lead people to Christ, but they're not practicing it. I think even more tragic than all of this is that we all know Christians in our lives, and maybe we're one of them, who are not practicing Christianity, yet proclaiming Christianity. It's their practice to ignore the tenets of their faith and to ignore the importance of living out their faith in the sight of others that gives Christianity the wrong outlook. This is why a practicing Christian will move forward in his faith, or her faith. You can't call yourself a Christian and not be a Christian and not practice being a Christian. And if you are, then all you're doing is giving everybody else a bad name. And you're giving Jesus a bad look. You got to practice being a Christian, or you're always going to be stuck. You're always just going to be words and lips. You're never going to be taken seriously. You're never going to move forward in your ministry. You're never going to move forward in your relationships with other people, or even with Jesus, if you do not become a practicing Christian. Don't be like someone that has the ability to do something great in this world, but doesn't practice because of the circumstances that popped up in their lives, or because of that one moment that happened in their life. Thirdly, a polite Christian will move forward. James 3:5. In the same way, the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest fire. And among all the parts of the body, the tongue is a flame of fire. It is a whole world of wickedness, corrupting your entire body. It can set your whole life on fire, for it is set on fire by hell itself. Husbands, say amen. You ever told your wife to relax or calm down? Ah! That's a joke, yes. Don't do it. If you're new married, don't do it. Don't say it. If you're dating, don't say it. It's a trap, that tongue. But in this chapter 3, James nails it as he mentions one of the greatest hindrances to a lot of Christians moving forward is that we can't keep this big old mouth shut. I'm guilty. Why is it that we always feel as if we have to say something negative? Why is it that we always have to feel that we have to bring up the shortcomings? We've had to deal with different conflicts in the church that would never have arisen if that dear sister so-and-so or brother so-and-so would have been able to just hold their tongue. Yeah, the tongue. There's pastors who wonder why this is happening at epidemic rates in churches today, and it may be because our sheep are following some shepherds. It may not be that they're following their local shepherd. They're following different shepherds that they believe are pouring into their lives. You've got to know when to hold your tongue. Your tongue has very big power. You should, hey, if you haven't watched it, go watch Miss Jennifer's lesson on the tongue for the kids. And it puts it in some basic terms, but it's important to know. It's important to hold on to. We always seem to have a critical word for that person over there. We always have a critical word for that church, that Christian, that brother or sister in Christ. Why? If you're always going to be critical of them and not hold your tongue on that person, then what is going to draw someone to you? What is going to say, man, that person's moving forward? If I'm always focused on the negative, that negative will rule me and not let me move past it. So I encourage you, you must be a polite Christian, someone that isn't always negative, someone that's not always putting down. Yeah, we might see those shortcomings on people, but it's not our place always to speak out on them and say, oh my gosh, are you really doing that? There's no one over there. I'm just pointing over there. I don't know why. But it's not always that place to say, I'm going to speak that out. Sometimes leave it to a pastor to do, or leave it to their person that they consider their mentor. It can destroy a church. It can destroy a family, the tongue. So be someone that is a polite Christian, that controls their tongue, that speaks life and not death, that speaks positivity and encouragement and not negativity, that doesn't just focus on the shortcomings, but focuses on moving forward and the accomplishments. Number 4. Every time I do that, I'm sorry. Pick number 3, my Lord, or whatever it is from Shrek. I'm sorry if that's my brain. I get going that way. Number 4, a praying Christian moves forward. That sounds like, well, duh, right? I mean, you can't be a Christian without praying, but you'd be surprised. Look at your life. How often do you pray? Be honest to yourself. Hey, the beauty of being right here, you're at home alone. You're not in the church. You can be honest, even more honest. How often do you pray? James 4, 1-2. What is causing the quarrels and fights among you? Don't they come from the evil desires at war within you? You want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You are jealous of what others have, but you can't get it. So you fight and wage war to take it away from them. Yet you don't have what you want because you don't ask God for it. Wow. That's just, in that scripture, you're even looking at, you're trying to do it and accomplish everything, and you're never getting it. You're trying to do it all your own way. Never get there. And it says you don't have it because you're not asking. There's a book called Power for Prayer. It's by a man named Ian Bounds. And if you read it, you'll be reminded once again that no Christian, let alone any preacher, will ever have power without a prayer life. What's holding back the church today? What has held us back for decades? I believe a lot of it has been a lack of time with God. And this is keeping us from truly moving forward. How often do you come early before a service and pray? How often a day do you spend in prayer to move forward? And I'm not just saying, oh God, give me good dreams. Now lay me down to sleep. I'm talking about true dialogue with Jesus. Pouring your heart out to Him. Asking Him to lead and guide you in your life. You won't move forward if you can't talk to Him. You don't know the direction. You won't know the direction. We won't move forward like me, I'm not a sea captain. I can just move, and I would probably just go out into the ocean and just keep spinning my wheels and never reach my destination because I don't know how to navigate that area. But if I take a captain with me and I openly talk with him, then it's okay. All right, he can help me. He can lead me and guide me to get to my destination. You must develop your prayer life more now so than it was before. You want to move forward? If you want to get on this train that has been started and what we've been pushing, it's time to say, you know what, I'm going to start praying more. Maybe that's just, okay, I'm going to pray for 10 minutes a day, every day. Or maybe it's, you know what, I'm going to start praying 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at lunch, 30 minutes in the evening. Whatever it looks like for you. Or maybe it's, I'm going to come up to the church on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday and pray. Or I'm going to start praying instead of vegging out. A praying Christian moves forward. If you're not praying, you're not moving. If you're not praying, you're just staying. I just came up with that. Pat myself on the back, but if I move, this chair spins. It's my barber's chair that someone had got for me. Miss Kelly Goad. So number 5. A prioritized Christian will move forward. This has always been a big one for me, priorities. Prioritizing, not procrastinating. In chapter 5, if you go through and read it, James will list several things that often get out of order, and then they'll end up holding us back from moving forward because those things get out of order. It's like following a recipe. If I add this ingredient before that ingredient, it's not going to work properly. If you're making a pizza dough, if you add the yeast after you've put in all this other stuff and mixed all this other flour and you didn't activate that yeast, then that dough will not be a dough for pizza. It'll be inedible. If we allow in our lives money, personal grudges, or illness to become more important than our priorities that God has established in our lives, we will truly be doomed in that sadness and that misery that comes with just being on this earth. A lot of us have done that in this past. And I believe we've been offered, I've said it before, this moment of grace, this moment of realignment to say, you know what, I'm realigning so that I can move forward. Because we're pushing towards and reaching the greatest end-time revival that we've ever seen, but we can't do it if we're moving backwards or if we're stuck. We have to change those priorities back to what they're supposed to be. A relationship with God first, a relationship with our spouse second, a relationship with our kids third. These are priorities followed up by ministry and profession in 4th and 5th place. Relationship with God is number 1. Then you build your family. And then you build and focus on all your work and stuff. That's one of the beautiful things that have happened in this moment that we're in, this pandemic, is it's caused us to realize some of our priorities needs to be changed. And as a church, some of our priorities have needed to be changed. And maybe this is what it needed to happen to take place. James desired that the church in his day would move forward. I desire the same thing. Let's not wish for yesterday and criticize today while we're afraid of what will happen tomorrow. Don't always be focused on the past. Don't wish for those yesteryears and say, man, today's so terrible, we can't do nothing, and then say, I don't know what the future holds. I see this time and time again in different conversations that people are just like, man, today the church just isn't what it used to be. Church isn't what it used to be. I don't know if we don't change something. I don't know what we're going to do in the future. Nonsense. Focus. Realign. Prioritize God first and people first in your church, and second, people second in your church, and then you will see what God was doing in the past, and you'll see greater things than you used to see. It's time to move forward. Moving forward is not even desired by a lot. and many people that are in because they're so comfortable. Many would like to cling to the past and the old instead of moving forward and moving past, because moving forward a lot of times gets a little uncomfortable, gets me a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it gets me to my destiny. The past builds you into your destiny, but the only way you're going to reach it is by moving forward. Not saying, man, I wish it was easy like back then. Oh, I wish it was like back then in the 50s or the 40s or the 80s or the whatever, yada, yada, when I was a kid. For those of us, or for those that desire to move forward in our Christian life, we have to follow the outline of this book of James. We have to heed the warnings about a church that needed to move forward. We are that church. We need to move forward and move past these things. And we've been thrust into it. And it's time to get involved. It's time to say, I'm going to do whatever it takes to spread this gospel message and move it forward so that we can see a great revival, so that we can be followed by signs and miracles and wonders. I'll end with a couple of quotes that'll help you, hopefully. Don't let yesterday use up too much of today. We've heard this one sometime. God closes doors because it's time to move forward. He knows you won't move unless your circumstances force you. We've experienced this as a local church. I've experienced in my life in all aspects. Maybe you're experiencing that right now. God's closing some doors to get you to take that step of faith, to move forward from what you're used to move forward from that things that you've made permanent that were just a temporary spot. Maybe it's in your career. Maybe it's in your relationship. Or maybe it's in your walk with God. Maybe it's in your position in the church. And here's the last quote. You cannot start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading the last one. You'll never move forward if you're always focused on the past. You'll never be able to go to that next spot in your relationship, that next moment in your life, if you're always focused on the latter. On the former, sorry. If you're always focused and rereading, oh man, I remember that, and not making the new memories, not making the new necessary steps to move forward, to go to your next place, to go forward in your ministry, to go forward in your walk with God, to stop just meandering around and not doing anything for the kingdom. If you're ready for it, stop rereading the past. Stop being stuck. Stop saying, you know what, I want to just stay where I'm at because I'm comfortable. The righteous keep moving forward, and those with clean hands become stronger and stronger. Job 17:9. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Become stronger and stronger. And then you'll be moving like a locomotive, a train. You'll be like Thomas the Train. You'll just keep going, and you ain't going to be stopped. Be like Dory, you just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. You ain't going to stop. You run into that shark, oh well, hey, I'm just going to keep swimming. I'm making the best out of this life, this opportunity I've been given to be on this earth, to reach as many people as I can, to reach the lost, to spread the gospel. That's what I'm doing. I'm moving forward, and I encourage you to come move forward with me. Move forward with Venture Church. Move forward with Jesus. I'm going to close in prayer. Lord, we love you and we thank you. I thank you, Jesus, for your word. I thank you for desiring a relationship with me. I thank you for wanting me to not just be stuck. I thank you for wanting me to move forward and become greater and better in my life, in all aspects of my life, personally, financially, in my spiritual walk. Lord, I pray over everybody that might see this, that you'll bless them, that you'll heal them, that you'll save them, that you'll deliver them, and that you'll shake them out of this rut, that you'll move them forward, that you'll show them the direction to move. Give us clearer vision into our future, into the today. Lord, let us move with a purpose into our destiny. And the only way we can do that is by moving forward to God. And I pray that you help us, that you'll lead us and guide us. In Jesus' name, amen. Love you. We'll see you on Sunday. Thursday crew. Don't forget youth. We have. We'll be sending out a text for something special. So be on the lookout for that. I think Miss KK has all your numbers. Love you. We'll see you later.